Hi everybody, it is April and I'm in my craft room, and today we're going to do another 3-yard quilt. This 3-yard quilt is called Dominique, and it is from the Modern Views book. This is a close-up of the quilt. I like the little flower look in the middle of the block. Let's go over the fabrics I'm going to use. This is going to be fabric 1, and this is from In the Beginning Fabrics, the Leah collection. Fabric 2 is from the same collection, and it's some stripes. Fabric 3 is from a different collection, Kona Bay Fabrics Design Move-01. The reason that I picked this for my fabric 2, and something that you might want to think about when you're picking out the fabrics for your 3-yard quilt, in this particular design, there is a little dot in the center of the fabric, and that is fabric 2. So I picked fabric 2 because it's stripes and it's a very little bitty dot. So I thought I didn't want to use this fabric simply because you wouldn't get to see any of the detail from the flower. You may want to think about that when you're picking fabric 2 and just realize that just a little bitty bit of it is going to show up in the center of that block. Now there's plenty of it on the outside in other blocks, but if you have something that it won't matter, if you don't get the whole image or part of the picture on the fabric, then go with, that one. Let's cut this stuff up. My fabric is cut. So now I'm going to show you what you do. Once you have your fabric cut, then you're going to start sewing some strips together in order to make your blocks. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to sew fabric 1 to fabric 3, and you're going to cut this into smaller pieces, and the pieces are going to look like this. Then you're going to do the same with fabric 2 and fabric 3, and you're going to end up with pieces that look like this. The blocks for this are very simple. Where you get into the more complex part is when you are putting together the sets that make the sashing in between. So there's a whole lot of matching of your seams in this project. And now I will show you from up top how you make your block and then how you make your rows. Once you've created your strips with fabric 1 and 3 and 2 and 3, you're going to cut them into smaller strips. This is going to be Unit A. You've also, at this time, cut fabric 1 into blocks, and this is considered Unit C. So you're going to put Unit A together with Unit C, and you're going to come up with Block A. Then you're going to take what is called Unit B along with Unit D, and this is fabric 2 and this is fabric 3. You are going to put these two together to create Block B. And Block A and Block B will be used along with sashing. So you put fabric 2 with fabric 3, and you create these strips out of your long strip to make your sashing. So you'll put this here, you'll connect it to this, you'll connect it to that, and then you'll have a strip where you've just cut strips out of fabric 3, and that goes on the end, and that creates this sashing piece that will be used in between your 2 rows. So essentially you have 3 sets of 2 rows. First, you're going to take block A and you're going to place it here. Then you're going to take one of your strips and that will go in between block A and block B. And then you repeat. So you take block A after you put a strip in between. So there are strips in between all of your blocks. And then you're going to lay this just like you did block A. You're going to have a strip. And then you're going to have block B. Now this row looks longer than this strip set, but that's because this has been sewn. If you actually put your strip set in before you sew it, it's closer. It's not exact because this strip set is taking into account when your blocks are sewn together. So here you're going to have to match points with this row and this row and this row. Now for row 2, you start with the opposite. And instead of your fabric 3 going down towards your sashing, your fabric 3 will go up. Then you'll take your fabric, well, this is block A, so you're going to take block A. Don't forget your strip. Okay, here's a strip. So you've got block B, block A, strips in between, and then you're going to repeat with block B and a strip and block A. And that all becomes, so here you've joined this row with the sashing to your second row, and you'll do this 3 times. In order to create block A, what you're going to do is take your strip of fabric 1, and then you are going to take unit A, and you are going to sew them together, just like I showed you when you had the bird's eye view. And this is going to make block A. Now to make block B, you're going to take unit B and unit D, and I may have this backwards, but you're going to take your strip of fabric 2 and your strip of fabric 2 and fabric 3, and you're going to put them together just like you did for block A, only this is block B. So here you have block A and block B. That's it, block A and block B. That's all you have to do. In order to make your sashing, you are going to use your strips of fabric 3 with fabric 2. You'll put 3 of those together, followed by 1 piece of sashing that doesn't have the fabric 2 on it. So we're going to do that. I'm going to lay fabric 3 on the fabric 2 part of the sashing, and this is going to go in between the rows. And here you have the sashing that goes in between your blocks. I don't like to press this. This is why. I want to be able to flip the seams either way when I am sewing them to the row, because I'm not sure, I haven't figured out exactly which way to press them in order to nest my seams. So I do nesting on the go. Let me show you how to make your row, and then I will show you how I sew my sashing. First, I'm going to take block A. I'm going to put the sashing piece right sides together on block A and sew that at 1/4 of an inch. Then I will attach block B. So here's my sashing. It should look like this. I'm going to fold this over, and I'm just sewing the row as you go. Okay, so now I've got block A attached to block B. Now I'm going to get another piece of sashing, and I'm going to attach that to block B. I'm going to press this over, and I'm going to get block A. This time block A lays this way. I'm going to fold it over. And this is where you run into trouble. If you don't get a perfect 1/4 inch on your sashing that matches the perfect 1/4 inch on your sashing strip, nesting these with your blocks in your row is a little challenging, but it's not horrible. Okay, I need sashing and my last block, and I've got my row. So here my sashing is going to go here. I've got my row and I have my sashing. I'm going to fold my sashing over so right sides are together, and I'm going to match my seams as I go. I have tried pinning it and it just did not go well. I'm going to get my rows started. I am going to nest my seams and hold it in place and sew. So let me put all my rows together and I'll show you my quilt. My quilt is complete. I have been really excited about doing this quilt for quite some time. I just love the way that this middle makes it look like there's a flower in the middle. And I think these fabrics really went well with this pattern. I would suggest that you use, for fabric 1 and fabric 2, fabrics that aren't close looking, that they're not similar in color. I mean, these are similar in color, but the patterns are totally different. And in just a minute, I will show you why. And also, even though I didn't get my center points exact, by the time you get this whole thing put together, you don't even notice. On the outside border, instead of using my fabric 2, these are what I actually cut for the outside border. I decided I think I'm going to use these for the binding instead, because I had this beautiful coordinating paisley that I decided I wanted to use, and I cut it at 6 inches, and I would have only needed 4 strips. I think I cut 5, but I just needed 4 6-inch strips to go around the outside. Very pleased with how this looks. Now, let me show you what I mean about the contrasting fabrics. The first quilt that I started working on with this design is a patriotic theme quilt. And if you look, it's okay. I think it's pretty, but there's so little difference between fabric 1 and fabric 2 that I think they get lost. So here is fabric 1 and here is fabric 2. And I do like it. I will finish it. I like the other better simply because there's so much contrast. And I will show you this full quilt at the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you taking the time. I hope that these instructions were helpful, and I hope that you will get your book and put this beautiful Dominique pattern together. Have a great day. Eat some chocolate and be kind to everyone. Until next time, bye. So you may want to think about that when you're picking. Do over. Whiner.